That'll take us on to Batgirl issue 5, Brian Q. Miller writing with Liger Bit on the art.
Got to end on a high note, right?
Yes, and what a high note indeed. This is a wonderful issue with Steph and Babs working together. Steph running into the burning building to take on some dude who's not named appropriately.
Diesel.
Yes, Diesel. Yes. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
In fact, she cracks
jokes.
She makes a wrestling.
Cracks a Vin Diesel joke.
Did she make a wrestling joke as well? She may have done. Hold on. Oh, I'll get this dialogue.
I don't remember a wrestling joke, but it might have gone right over my head if there was one. So.
Okay, it must have been earlier. Hold on. I went past where the Diesel joke probably was. Okay.
She makes a Vin Diesel joke like right after the panel after he's introduced.
Now, I must have just been thinking of a wrestling joke myself because there was a wrestler called Diesel in the 90s.
Right. Okay.
I want to say she called him Big Daddy Cool at one point, which was his like sort of nickname, but what doesn't matter.
Maybe she did. I don't know.
Anyway,
maybe Steph's into the wrestlings.
The gist of this issue, the point of this issue is that she's there dealing with this, and Batman and Robin show up and take over, and she's told to stand aside. And obviously she doesn't do it. She tries to help Damien and accidentally freezes him with like a freeze grenade. But the whole point of this issue is that up until now we've not really had Batman and Robin be a factor yet, and now we're going to see how she integrates with Dick's Batman and Damien's Robin and into that sort of Batman family ecosystem, right? And
Dick admitting that he kind of enjoyed the quiet of Damien being frozen.
Yes. Because Babs and Dick have this proper fight about it in the cave, and Dick tells her to get her stuff out of the cave, and Dick comes across as a little bit of a dick in this scene.
A little bit.
And you get what he's saying. This is him. He's just became Batman. He's under pressure. He's struggling to sort of maintain the persona and all the rest of it. I think what I liked about this though is the narration from Babs constantly like telling herself not to do what she's about to do, because she knows that she's pushing a button. She knows that she's about to do this because it's her ex and not because she's actually really should be fighting this way.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, they're being kind of mean to each other, but it feels very realistic in a sort of ex-couple kind of way. But then we cut to Damien and Steph outside sitting. Steph refers to it as sitting at the kiddie table. And do you know what? I'd forgotten so many details about this, but one of the things that I remembered as soon as Damien said it was how much he wanted to stab Steph. And then Alfred saying, "No, Mistress Stephanie, rest assured I've taken all of Master Damien's knives for the evening." And then Damien saying, "All the ones you know about, Pennyworth."
I miss terrible little shit Damien. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like Damien now. I think his growth. It's a no-win situation, because if he'd stayed as a little shit, I'd be complaining that he has never grown or evolved over the years, and that would be equally frustrating. But he's so fun to read.
Yeah, I think Dick's time as Batman felt cut short, maybe about half. I think he deserves another 2 years maybe as Batman, and we could have had little shit Damien for 2 more years with that, and then moved on there.
Like I think it's frustrating as well, because you say that, but like the first while on Batman and Robin under Tomasi, he was still a little shit. He was good. Like the first arc was all about him murdering dudes. So it's not like they hard refreshed it with the New 52 and just made him better instantly. There was a natural growth.
I've written out most of the 52 in my head canon, so I didn't recall that.
That's fair, but that's how it happened.
So Steph's in the library. She's taken on a job at her mother's behest to help pay for the classes she's been forced to take, also by her mother. So she's delighted with that, but she's eavesdropping on this guy who was introduced earlier. Actually, the building that was burning belonged to this guy's dad, and she's sort of eavesdropping, and it's really noticeable. But I love the humor added in here where someone's asking for help. So like, hey, could you help me find where this book is? And Steph just turns around and goes, shh, and tells it to go away.
That's the first one. She just says shush, which made me laugh a lot too. It's the second time when she turns around and actually shushes her.
Yeah, and she's decided, she wants to follow the guy out, and she turns around and sees like the woman complaining to assume the head librarian is like, oh, probably a good time to leave. Yeah, I'll go now.
Yeah,
I'll go now. And Babs has been set up with a cop. Her dad set her up. He's supposed to show up for their weekly lunch or whatever it is, and he's not there. They realise they've been set up, and as soon as he says something that she can misinterpret, she goes basically diving down his throat to rip him apart for it, and he quite wisely says, look, clearly someone else has upset you, and like this isn't about me, so I'll talk to you again when you're ready to have a proper conversation.
It's not smooth what he says. He says, oh, you've definitely got a leg up, and then sees the wheelchair. He's like, oh, really stepped in it. And that's obviously not smooth at all. But she definitely overreacts.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a bit of a doofus, basically. But he's also a smart doofus in that he realizes that her anger's not really directed at him. It's about something else.
Yeah.
But so Steph tries to kind of make a date with this dude, or he makes a date with her, and she's kind of all conflicted about it. But that's not the interesting part here. The interesting part here is as he's walking away, he says, "Oh yeah, there's some little Omen. Some little Omen fanboy giving you the stink eye." Now, obviously, before I turn the page, I know it's Damien, right? However, I was not prepared for the art on the next page to sell what he just said. Because when I turned the page and saw just the black on white tree with Damien underneath it staring like he is the devil child himself, I lost my shit.
Oh, it's so good. I really, just to go back a touch, I just love the Steph's inner narration during that previous sequence with the guy that she's got a bit of a crush on. And she said, oh, yeah, wouldn't that girl mind? She's like, oh, she's not my girlfriend. And she's like, right, just say yes, just be natural, don't be suspicious. She goes, I accept. Forehead slap.
But yeah, no, that Damien Page turn was great, and
that is just the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, he's basically just like following her to try and figure out who she is, and he doesn't trust her, doesn't know her.
He's drawing like Batman in a Batgirl maybe in the thing, and just stabbing it with.
Yeah.
I mean, either works. If you tell me he's drawing Dick, and just stabbing it, like that works.
Yeah, he's drawn a bat person in the snow, and he's basically just stabbing it with a stick.
I think he's like drawing stakes into it. Maybe
there's a joke here at the end actually where he says something. And she says, "Oh, you don't understand." He doesn't understand. He says he doesn't understand something, and she says, "Of course you understand. You're 10." And it's a panel from behind her, and you can actually see his eye line. When I read her line, you can actually look at his eyes. He is kind of looking in that direction. And she says, "Now stop looking at my chest." And Damien, being peak Damien, sort of scuffs and goes, "What chest?"
Yeah, and I really hated the art in the next two panels.
No, I know we go with this. Before we get there, though. I do love her just walking away and uttering the word hate. Not even I hate you or I hate him, just hate.
Yeah, I like that moment.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that joke itself there is kind of okay.
No, that joke there itself's fine because he's a 10-year-old and she's, 18, whatever, right? It's a fine joke. I remember being that age. I remember starting high school. For context here in the UK, you start high school at about 12, and there's girls, 17, 18 in the last couple of years, right? It's a little distracting, right, at that age. You're right at that age where you're really starting to notice these things, right? Yeah. It makes sense. What is weird though is that there's a whole joke here where his joke is basically to try and sort of like make himself feel less embarrassed that he got caught, is to make a joke saying, "Oh, what chest? You've got small boobs," right? The very next page, Steph's grappling around the city, and the art accents just how big her boobs are.
Now I've got two ways of reading this, which is frustrating. One is just okay. It's a mistake. Because this is like the biggest and most obvious they've looked all issue, like by a landslide. Like,
are you going to suggest that Steph has felt self-conscious and padded her bra?
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
I mean, here's the thing. See if there was a line later sort of like paying that joke off, I'd be okay with it. But there isn't. It's just one of those panels where, hey, look at how good the boobs are.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to write in an excuse, and there is no excuse. It's
Yeah, it really stuck out to me because it came right after that. If it hadn't come right after that, I'd have maybe noticed and went, "Oh, that's a bit more."
Do you know what? No, I'm going to go on a limb and say there is, because right after this, she gets changed really quickly into her civvies, and she's wearing like whatever she could find from Babs, but it's like a a sexy looking dress, right?
Yes.
Is the idea. and she's emphasizing it here as well. Like, so I'm wondering, maybe it was intentional. Because in this scene, it makes sense. Because it's the guy she likes, right?
Yeah, but she's not gotten dressed for it yet. Because the whole thing is she didn't even know she was going to do this thing yet. Because she's following him. She sees him alone in the diner, and she says, "Okay, maybe I'll sort of accidentally bump into him." And it's at that point she says, "Hey, Babs, if you got anything in your closet I can steal," and she steals this sort of slinky dress and a trench coat. Which, she cracks a joke about how that's, what a stalker's supposed to wear. So that's actually perfect.
Yeah.
The trench coat, not the slinky dress. The slinky.
Yeah.
But anyway, and okay, at that point, if she's emphasizing the cleavage and all that, sure, like that makes some sense because she likes this guy and she's wearing this dress. It makes some sense. It doesn't make any sense to me that how that ties into her wearing her bat suit before.
No, it doesn't. And I'm wondering because it's not like that in the rest of the issue. I'm sure. I don't remember any panels of it sticking out that much early on in the issue when she's doing a fight and stuff.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's really just that panel that's bad. Because the next page is mostly fine.
It is, and I don't know. Like, do we notice it more because of that joke just being made? Like, and that's why it really sticks out.
The quick way to check this is just to go back and look at the earlier pages.
That's true.
I'm looking full page spread when she throws the batarangs at the start. I mean, it's not as emphasized. Yeah, you don't see them as much. It's we're really emphasizing on these boobs here. I feel like we're being a parody of ourselves by even just paying this much attention to it.
I know, but I really felt it here because of that joke being made and then it following up immediately with the single worst example of it in the issue.
Yeah.
I really felt it.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's just an unfortunate thing where that one panel has just, for whatever reason, like, got more sexy than the rest of the art. Like,
do you know why it is that frustrates me? If you go to the next page from that panel, and at the bottom, so you can see her there, and you can see the bat logo on her chest, and you can see how neatly it sits there.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back and look at the panel and look how broken up it is by the way her boobs sit. That's what bothers me about that panel so much, I think, is that it just looks so unnatural with the way it folds.
Yeah, it's suggesting that it's a fabric that actually... I mean, most clothes don't do this anyway, but certainly they've established in the rest of the book that the bat logo sits perfectly straight across the top of her chest. But for some reason, in that one panel, it's dipping into between her boobs as if there's a vacuum in there.
I think that's what's so frustrating about it.
I mean, I don't think that's what's frustrating about it. The most frustrating is just how sleazy it is. I don't really care about the logistics of it.
Oh, no, I mean, it's frustrating because it makes you notice it more.
Oh, sure, I guess. I mean, I don't really care why or how. I just, like, it's the sleaziness. And the fact that it comes right after that joke, which is fine on its own, just makes it really weird. But basically, as soon as she goes out to talk to the guy, some crooks show up to grab him, to kidnap him, and Steph tries to fight back, and she's like, oh yeah, super smart, wearing the dress and the trench coat, and someone shoots her in the head. The cliffhanger at the end of this issue is Steph lying with blood pouring from her head. Now, obviously,
it's pretty severe, right?
I mean, I expect we'll find out next issue it's a graze rather than a direct hit. It's hard to tell. It's just right.
But there is blood coming from her head.
Yeah, it's right at the tip of her head, by the looks of it. But it's one of those things where the way the blood falls, it could be either way. So, but that's the cliffhanger at the end of the issue. It's actually a really good issue. The one debate we had about one boob panel aside, I thought did a really good job of establishing where she sits in the overall Bat family right now. I love stuff with Oracle and her fighting with Dick, and
Damian is a delight.
Yeah, in fact, one of my favorite issues of this entire run is going to be Steph and Damian together, and that comes much later.
That's so good.
But like, as for the first meeting here, I loved it. I really want to stab you, all that stuff. This was exactly the sort of fun stuff from Steph that I expect. And then on top of that, you've got her having a crush on someone and kind of juggling that in her head. Like, I think what Miller does so well is like every bit of narration that comes from either Steph or Babs really enhances the scene. It really enhances it in a way that makes things either dramatic or funny in ways that the dialogue alone wouldn't get there. It's really utilizing all the tools in the trade.
Like, there's a great example where it's the only narration on the page where she first meets Damien underneath the omen tree, where he goes, "Relax, I'm in urban camouflage mode," which is funny on its own, and her narration is just Yeah,
that's good. That's good stuff. You mentioned the head slap or the face palm, whatever it was earlier.
Palm, yeah.
That's just moments like that just work so well. The voice is really sparking at this point, and like you say, putting her sort of where she is in the context of the larger Bat family right now is also really smart and makes her feel like a part of the shared world, which is part of the fun of the the shared universe comic books. And Steph fit into it really nicely, and it was a very different Batgirl from Cass. And in fact, that was the other thing I love from Damien, was him saying, "Oh, I was looking forward to meeting Cassandra. She seemed respectable or something." He was like yeah, the silent assassin version of Batgirl you were into.
I bet she was your type.
Yeah. So no, really good. What are you giving it?
8.5.
If it wasn't for those boob thing, it'd probably be the 9. But I'll give you 8.5.